I always good lollipop. Hello.
It was a deal,
It
baby.
was cracking. We were talking about showcases. I was telling them it's more important when you go to showcases. Like, it's important to win or try to win, but it's more important to like network with people and do songs with them.
Right, for sure, for sure.
Yep. What's the word, man? Oh, that goatee. I thought that goatee was a stick-on.
Man, I'm working. I got a lot of good opinions about it, so I'm gonna keep.
I like it. I like it. I'm just talking shit.
Said it's distinguished and shit. You feel me?
For sure. You definitely look older.
Do I? It's the
definitely
opposite of
look
my
older.
name. It's the opposite of Kid L.
It's man L.
Big L.
Big
That's what I
L.
want to be called. Big L. Yo.
Do you use Final Cut or do you use Premiere?
I use Final Cut X and I use After Effects. And if I teach, I use Premiere though, because they only have PCs where I teach at.
We talked about this last time too. The actual programs for doing shit isn't the priority, it's the skill of the person using them. So fundamentally, generally with all creative things, it's how it sounds at the end or how it looks at the end. So if you can figure out how to, a program that makes the most sense for your workflow and learn it, then you're gonna win. Same thing with like audio shit, like DAWs, like Cubase, Logic, Fruity Loops. They're all geared differently. They're all set up differently, but it's really whatever you can use. Whatever makes the most sense for your workflow.
3 keys to management, and Rose probably knows more than me because I don't manage shit.
3 keys. So basically, my first thing with that is hire people that understand. Hire people that are self-sufficient. Like it starts with your hiring. So you'll get people in your environment, or when you hire someone, you'll get people that just don't fit. You have to get rid of them as quickly as possible, and then you get the people who make the most sense to be there on a personality level. So like as far as skills, like I can teach people skills, but I can't teach you to work hard. So I would rather have you be a cool ass person that I want to be around, that is willing to work hard and move forward towards the goal. So I would start with that. I don't know. Number 2, set goals, set group goals, and set goals individually. So like whenever I generally tap in with my people every 3 months to 6 months and kind of just see how they're doing in their normal lives to see if they're stressed out, if they're making enough money, what life shit is going on, if they're good or whatever the case. And I just talk to them about that. And if they have a problem or things are going good, then I can help them achieve their own personal goals, because people do things selfishly, and that's not a bad thing. Everyone has their own purpose, right? So knowing what your employees or your people's selfish goals are and just clear that out of the air is really good to know. And then if you help them get there, they'll give you the world. And then I don't know. That's it. You get 2 until I think of another one.
Okay, HK, been working, says, what do you need to know for shooting my first music video? I don't know if you're an artist or a video director, but everything you should know if you're a video director is to research how the camera operates. That's the most important thing, to know how your equipment works. If you don't know how your equipment works, you're going to look like a dumbass while you're on set. And the last thing you want to look like is a dumbass. You also don't want to look like somebody who doesn't know what they're doing ever. People stop trusting you when they think you don't know what you're doing. That's just the way the game goes. If you act unconfident and unsure, people will be like, hey, you know what, man? Like, ooh, you know, they'll just start treating you with disrespect and shit, which they should, because you should know your shit. So that's the first thing. Know your gear. Go on YouTube, research proper lighting, proper cinematography. Just learn the basics of cinematography. Learn the basics of editing. Learn all the basics of everything, and just keep shooting and editing until you build the craft. If it's your first shoot ever, come in prepared, and that's the best advice I can give you. Learn your visuals, learn your cinematography, learn your composition, learn how to position your actors and your characters and everything, and then you'll be okay. If you don't come in prepared, you will lose.
I would add to that too. So like you could shoot a couple videos for free with people that you know and do some test shots and kind of get that baseline level of experience to kind of prepare yourself for what that environment is. And then don't be afraid to fuck up, but make sure that you can recover from your fuck ups, because you're going to fuck up. But experience is the best teacher. So, everything he said, plus, don't be afraid to fuck up and just keep going.
Go Almighty, what's the best way to gain traction? Go ahead, Rob.
There is no best way. It depends on the platforms you're pushing on and where you want to go. So a lot of it depends on your budget. A lot of it depends on you as a person. A lot of it depends on your image, and your music. So there's a lot of factors. So for example, if you don't have any money for music videos, you probably should not be pushing on YouTube, because YouTube is a fundamentally video format. You could use SoundCloud, or you could use DistroKid or Spotify and iTunes playlist curation. That'll get you going there. If you are a great performer and you love performing, maybe drop less songs but hit more showcases and do it that way. But you kind of got to know where you live, where you sit, and then have a goal for what you're trying to push. So for example, do you want 50,000 followers on Instagram, or do you want a video with 100,000 views? Those are two completely different approaches, both valid, but they have completely different strategies.
Is he a H Royal? Sorry. What's the best way to market with no budget? The best way to market with no budget is to network with other artists and other people that are in the same profession as you. Because what happens is you join a collaboration with them, you get their network of people, and they get your network of people. And when you guys release your work, people will see that, oh, who's this guy that shot this video? I'm going to follow him. I'm going to see what's going on with him. That's the best way to build when you have no budget. Work with other people that have a following, that have a base. Work for them for free. Work with them on a collaboration. You'll take some of their network. They'll take some of your network.
A lot of times you can DM people and try to push your music that way, but you have to make sure the approach isn't so pushy. So I have a tactic, which is figure out what kind of music you like, let's say, or you make. So let's say arbitrarily you make music that Lil Durk fans would like. You go hashtag Lil Durk. You go or into his comments, you go into his fans, and then each fan, you can DM them. But what you say is you start by saying where you found them. You say, hey, I saw you liked Lil Durk's post. You commented Lil Durk's post. And then you say, I'm an artist that I sound a lot like Lil Durk. I think you would like my music. Can you please check me out? And then don't give them a link right there. Wait for them to respond. If they respond, then you send them the link. And then it makes it a lot more personal, a lot more not just slamming people with I'm an undiscovered rapper, blah blah blah. You tell them how you found them, and ask, not force it on them. So I think if you want to do the super legwork with no budget, you could do that, and it'll take a long time, but that's a fan to fan approach. And if you're actually sweet, then you'll start getting fans that way.
I'm a producer from Detroit. Any connections on how to get in touch with the Detroit artists? The best way to get in touch with Detroit artists is to send massive DMs. Send DMs to everybody. Try to collaborate with anybody that you know that's in the scene. Depends on what you do, obviously, right? But at the same time, it's all the same thing. If you're an artist, or if you're a videographer, or if you're a producer, build your portfolio, show that you're talented, show that you have skills, then start reaching out to other people saying, hey, I want to work with you. Then you build connections and network that way. So again, build your own portfolio, show that you have talent and skills, then reach out to everybody by either DMing other artists, or you can find people that you know personally that are already in the scene and start working with them.
Right. Here's a little bit of quick game. Videographers are the best source of finding artists. So if you know a videographer like you, right? If you follow Kid L, then you see every week probably 10 artists within that area, because some videographers travel, but a lot of them don't. So if you know the area the videographer is in, start following videographers in your city, and media pages like Detroit Rap News, because they just post all these people, and those are really good ways of finding people. And again, what he said, portfolio, make sure you're dope. Don't be afraid to do free work. I think specifically with producers, I would have 2 folders. I would have an exclusive folder, and I would have free beat folder, and then I would have 3, I guess. Then I would have a lease folder. So you have beats that you could be like, here's a free beat, you can use it. If you want any exclusives, they're $100. And then you could just keep feeding these people.
Blow up people's DMs, tell them you want to work with them. make sure you have portfolio ready for when they come to your page to check you out so that they know.
Absolutely. The first thing someone does when they find you is go to your page immediately and see what you're about. So,
Kid OTE, building a following on social media. Pick one platform or spread thin on everything. Me and Rose talk about this every time, but we'll continue to talk about that. Rose, you can start that off.
I say pick one platform, 1 to 2, because if you push on every platform, are you talking about social media platform, or are you talking about like?
He's saying building a following on social media.
Oh, okay, so yeah, okay, so I would pick 1 to 2, and put your time and energy there and your budget there, and then use it to branch off into other ones. Because all these platforms, if it really depends on how much time you have, how much time you have to actually learn how the platform works. But my approach personally, I'm bad at multitasking. All I did was focus on YouTube. I studied YouTube before I launched my channel. I studied Instagram before I started taking it serious. I learned how they work. I try to stay updated. And then, so for me, it's like fuck TikTok, fuck SoundCloud, fuck Facebook. And I know I'm leaving a lot on the table, but until I build my resources up in order to build them, then I'm just going to focus on one thing, because I would rather be great on 1 or 2 than be mediocre on all of them.
And I take notes from Gary Vaynerchuk on this. He says basically, like, you know, if you already built an Instagram page or whatever, a YouTube page or whatever, and you have 90% of your following there, and that's where people fuck with you the most, spend 90% of your time on that. But then try to introduce 10% to a different application or a different platform. That just, you know, gives you more opportunity sometimes, and that's the best way to do it. And then if you want to add another one, then you take your 90% to 80%, and then you know, the 10% with another platform and 10% with another platform. It's just about time management at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you can fit in another platform, fit it in, as long as it doesn't affect your main platform. This one's for BankRose. Kilo 2 Cups says, how far can YouTube beats get me?
Very. They can get you on. They can get you rich if you do it right. So the play with YouTube beats, with type beats, is they drop all these free beats, kind of like what I was saying to bro about just DMing people. If you have a YouTube page and you drop type beats and they're fire, and you focus on a specific market, so like Detroit beats, for example, you could pick a handful of artists that are kind of hot. So let's say like Baby Smooth, V's, Dame Dot, and then just only make those type beats when you start. Keep pushing those, drop them. And then if people know that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have a new free beat, you're consistent with them, you link it to a beat store where they can go buy exclusives or buy the lease for the beat, and you just keep applying pressure, you stay consistent, then your followers will slowly go up and up and up. Me being in a studio, 95%, no bullshit, 95% of everyone who steps through my door rips their shit right off YouTube. And it is probably 5 producers. Especially with Detroit. So it can get you very far. You just got to know how to play it. And you can definitely utilize a bigger platform, and, you know, success in general, but YouTube, it exponentially grows. So 1 subscriber turns to 2 to 4 to 8, right? It's like a doubling effect. So yes, I would highly, highly recommend YouTube. And then I would highly recommend putting a beat store so you could put that link in your bio and actually make some money off it.
Lord Michael says, where would be a good area to shoot my first music video? My favorite place to shoot is actually downtown Detroit, because it's always very lively and there's always things happening out there. So you always have a backdrop, essentially. And the police don't bother you when you're there. It's very easy and free to roam around. So downtown Detroit is one of my favorite areas. Royal Oak is nice too, but police will talk to you sometimes. Most of the time they'll let you go, but I've seen things happen. For right now, just stick with downtown Detroit. Like I said, you have a free backdrop. Everywhere you walk is a free backdrop. So, you know, that's my favorite spot. That's where I shot Ape Shit, and we used basically the city as our backdrop the whole time.
I would say whatever matches the vibe of the song and is safe. You know, I mean, if you have a gritty song and you're okay to go in front of a bando, even though that's a little played out, you know, do that. Just make sure it matches the song. That's what I would say. Do it on a song-to-song basis. It has to make sense.
Yep, that's true. It has to make sense. That's true. It can't just be, obviously, I was just pointing out my favorite place to shoot, but yes, obviously make sure that it fucking makes sense. You're not just going to shoot up in downtown Detroit when you're singing a love song about a banjo that you admire or some shit. Anyways,
Where are we
I
at?
guess, is Twitter a good platform to build on, or is that outdated?
I've never used Twitter. But again, if you know Twitter, I don't think Twitter is dead. I don't know if I'm the best one to answer this since I don't really use Twitter like that, but fundamentally, if there's still enough people on it and there's enough people on there active in that scene, then no, it's not dead. If you know Twitter and you like Twitter, utilize it. If you're afraid that it's going to tank, then, like he said with, 80%, 20%, maybe do 60% and start funneling traffic from your Twitter into an Instagram or whatever, But I mean, Twitter's been holding strong.
Kalo Music says, okay, kid, I see you are familiar with video and photography. Have you ever made a beat? Yes, I used to make beats when I was younger. I sucked ass at it. Okay, next. If you're using a 50-50 chance, not true. Okay, yo, what up, Tatted Up Cholo, #1 fan. How much would you charge an upcoming artist for their first video? Okay, so an upcoming artist for their first video depends on where you're at in your videographer career. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't charge the person. I would do it for free on collaboration, unless obviously they're offering you the cash and just take it. But if it depends. I mean, that's such a broad question because what does an upcoming artist mean? Does that mean they're on the move, they're about to blow up, or they're new to the game? I don't know what that means. But let's just say, for instance, you're decently in your career, you charge everybody, and there's an up and coming artist that's kind of on the move, kind of like how TJX was like a few months ago or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't charge him if I really wanted to work with him. That's the thing. What I would do, though, if I needed the money and I had to charge, was just ask them what their budget is and kind of play it off of that. There's no really set answer to answer. You got to look at budget. You got to look at how many hours you're spending shooting, how many hours you're spending editing, how many resources are involved. Very hard to answer that question. But what I would do is if the person's up and coming, collaborate with them. That's my best advice I can give you on that.
Let me just say something about that. I don't necessarily give discounts to people off rip. If I don't know if that was the implication or the statement, but I don't generally, once you lock in with a person, like discounts can start happening. But normally if someone new is coming in, they hit me with the I'm an upcoming artist line, I still give them my full rate. And then if they become serious and work with me a lot, then we talk about lowering shit, giving exclusive deals, that kind of shit. Would you rather do a free video for someone who isn't big and have full control, or for someone big but they're a bitch in the process, or they want so much control?
So man, you got to take them both. You feel me? Sometimes you're going to shoot for artists that bitch, which for me, man, if you're really cool, if you're a really cool dude and you know how to handle yourself and you're very confident as a music video director, most of the time there's not going to be that much bitching in the process. If they're bitching, that's a sign of disrespect, and that's a sign that I wouldn't want to work with that person because he doesn't think too much of me. So I wouldn't even want to work with that person in the first place. I have been in that situation though before. So I got some good advice from a friend that said, listen, man, suck it up, take the punches, and just keep moving forward because this is going to help you in the long run. So his advice was actually pretty correct. But I personally don't like working with people that are disrespectful. Actually, I filmed a seminar with the owner from 5 Hour Energy. And he literally said my favorite thing he's ever said. I filmed this seminar. I was just listening as I was filming it. Yeah. He was like, anybody who causes problems for me, I cut. If they're giving me issues, if they're making my job less enjoyable, I cut them off. But so take the full control, man. Work with somebody who's smaller. Take full control, because at the end of the day, your portfolio is dependent upon how cool you can make a video. Yeah. And that should be dependent on what you have control over. If you shoot with somebody who bitches all the time, you're probably going to get way less done, and it's just probably going to be a video where you're waving the camera around and just everybody's video, you feel me?
The caveat to that is if you are broke as shit and you have to work with clients for the money, then you have to. But once you get enough money where you have a choice, then yeah, I 100% agree with not dealing with people who cause you problems. Just a little caveat.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you have to, you have to. And I felt like I was in that position at one point. Some shit happened.
I absolutely was.
And I was like, oh, man, I can't believe. But, I recovered from it, and now me and that person actually have a great relationship.
That was a good answer.
Distro Kid, or I don't know what either one of those are.
Okay, so those are distribution not platforms. They're distribution companies that put your shit on iTunes, Spotify, and all that shit. I know DistroKid a lot better. TuneCore is way more expensive. So DistroKid, just from a price point, if the goal is to just get it on there, DistroKid all day, every day. It's $20 a year, unlimited uploads. TuneCore, they charge you per song, and I think they charge you annually per song. So that shit starts to super add up. Don't get both. Because they'll start like trying to claim each other, right? Because it's how you claim your streaming shit. But I would say DistroKid, especially when you're starting out. Again, I don't know TuneCore intimately. I don't know the benefits that it gives you for paying that extra fee. But when you're starting off and money is a
that you should perform. If you are an artist, if you are a rapper, I don't care if you're a SoundCloud rapper or anything, you have to perform live. You have to. Yeah. Most of your money, if you become a successful artist, is going to be made by performing live, whether you want to believe it or not. I know you see 100 million YouTube streams for somebody on YouTube, but guess what? They still have to go on tour. They still have to go cross country. That's where the real money's at. The real money is performing live. That's where the real deal cash is at. Plus, you get to meet, you can make new fans. You get to network with host managers, the people who are hosting the events, the coordinators. You get to network with all these people that are going to get you more and more business, more and more fans, just more and more opportunities. So always perform live if you ever have the opportunity. I know a lot of people like to sit behind Instagram and SoundCloud and just say, oh, well, I don't want to be in the public. Listen, man, I respect that a lot, but at the same time, it's how you really prove that you're about this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And on top of that, just so you guys know, the first two things, the first two sources of income you make as an artist are performance fees and features. The streaming money is the least amount of money you're going to make off your songs, period. That ship is sailed, that is dead. So the very first sources of income are performances and features. After that, I would say like merch. Merch is something that every artist, when you hit that level, you definitely need to implement. Don't think you're going to get rich off streaming solely. You have to, artists are really on tours for 9 months, and then they record their album for 3, and then they do it again. That really is where all the money is.
I want to get a session with one of you guys, but I want to know if there's a good voice tuning process. I guess he's asking you, bros.
Oh yeah, we're good with Autotune. A lot of Autotune is dependent on how you perform it. So, like, if you want to listen, if you like Roddy Ricch can really sing. Playboy Cardi kind of has a little bit of like Autotune flex with it. There is a skill set with Autotune that's separate from singing. As far as like on our end, I record Autotune music all day, every day. I personally make Autotune music myself.
Did you have any doubt in your mind when you were starting your studio did you have any feeling that this could possibly fail, that your whole studio could fail?
Oh yeah, and I still feel that way. Even though it's for real, so the first year we opened the studio, 4 out of 12 months we almost couldn't pay rent. So so it is very real. I'm very appreciative of what I have now, and I really try to express that to everyone who follows me, because I know that one false comment, one month of me being lazy, one time I'm out of pocket, it could all crash and burn. And I built it up from this point. So yeah, and I still feel like I could lose it tomorrow. That's why I go so hard. You got to strike while the iron's hot, and the iron is getting hotter and hotter for me. So I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to keep it pushing. But yes, it's always in the back of my mind, especially with a family. And like I said, I still feel that way, and I don't think that's going away. But I think that's a good thing. That I have that, because if I didn't, then comfort sets in. That's why I try to, before I actually get uncomfortable when I'm way too comfortable. So like I always try to, like the online mixing we just added, I need that because it's a level of stress that I need to keep in my brain to keep me pushing. That's like a personality type. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. How do you get paid to perform? Getting paid to perform has a lot to do with how many people you can bring to the stage. How many people you can bring?
100% to do with how many people you can bring to the stage.
Yes, that's true. But I can, well, I've met people that don't have much of a following that still got paid. That's the only reason I say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've met some people. I can name them if you want me to, but, yeah, so I'm going to repeat the question. How do you get paid to perform? It's heavily dependent on how many people you can bring to the arena or to the strip club or to wherever you're performing at. How many tickets can you sell? How many feet can you get through the door? So yeah, when you go on stage and when you meet people, just be fucking nice to everybody, man. Always remember that the end goal is what's so important. So don't get caught up in the little bitty things that are happening in between. If you get caught up with somebody talking to you a certain way on the stage or the bouncer like pushing you onto the stage and you're like, hey, what the fuck? It's over for you, bro. You're not ready for the game yet if you can't do that. But when you are on stage, man, do what Sada does. Go fucking nuts. Go fucking ape shit. Use all the energy you have when you perform. If you're not a person that goes crazy when they perform and your music is not that type of music, then really make people feel you by believing in your music and coming in with confidence. The first few times you go on stage, you're going to have the squeaky voice. You're going to be looking down. You're not going to look at anybody. Get through that shit. It's just like a roller coaster. You go for the first one, you're scared as fuck. The second and third one are much easier. So it's a process. Fall in love with it.
On top of that, practice makes perfect. I would, if you've never performed, I would just get the first 10 performances out of the way. Just do them and suck ass at your first 10 and then move on from there, because it is a different feeling when everyone is looking at you with the eyes like, entertain me.
Yeah, exactly.